If you are a college student who's graduating this semester, you're trying to figure out what you need to do to get your job handled, make sure you have a job prepared for you, ready for you before college is over, especially now that we're in the middle of a pandemic. I've got the book recommendation that you're going to love right here. It's called Mastering College to Career, A Modern Guide to Landing Your Dream Job Before Graduation by Daniel Botero. This is all about the things you need to do as a college student to prepare you for your career outside of college. So if this is your situation right now, you're going to love this book. So stick around to learn more about it. Hey, this is Michael with Michael's Business English. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Michael Rincon. I'm a former six-figure data analyst turned career coach and ESL instructor, and I support English language learners improve their career development through communications and language training. If you're new here on this channel, we talk about business English, communications, and career development. So if that's something you're into, make sure you like and subscribe. And all the links that we mentioned in this video you can find in the description box below. So before I actually go into the book itself, I want to bring up why reading books is important, as well as why I chose this book, right? So one thing that a lot of my students fight with me on is why they should read books as opposed to why can't they just read a blog post, why can't they just listen to a podcast, why can't they just watch a YouTube video. And here's the thing, a book is one thought, it is one entire process, as opposed to a blog post or a podcast episode or YouTube video where it's like one idea that's just like touched on for a little bit. A book is an entire idea thought out all the way to the end. It's like an end-to-end process. One of the other things I've learned from reading books myself is that it's one thing to go to a lecture and listen to the professor, but sometimes the antidotes in the book are what actually trigger the paradigm shifts that cause you to have these insights that you need in order to move forward with your life, in order to get to the next level. So that's why I highly recommend you read the book. Don't just like watch this video and be like, oh, I got everything I need now. Like, use this video to help you decide if you should read a book, and then take the time to actually, if you decide to read the book, then read the book. Why I chose Mastering College to Career specifically is because it's April, right? Like, people are going to graduate soon. Even though we are in the middle of a pandemic, there's still people who are probably going to graduate on time, and so they do need this resource now, which is to help them prepare for the job search and make sure they have a job ready for them when they graduate college. Now, if you've gone through my other video recommendations, I actually talk about the 2-hour job search. I think I talked about that back in February, maybe January. It's been a while. But the 2-hour job search is also a good book, but that one is aimed towards more general audience, meaning like, anyone who is looking for work can apply it. Whereas College to Career has resources and recommendations that are ultra specific to college students already who can take advantage of things like career fairs. Right? I'm 31 years old. I can't go to a campus and take advantage of my alumni network to try and meet special people in the career fairs, like high profile individuals. I can't go. I don't go to a career fair. They don't go to college anymore. So that's why I recommend this book for those of you who are still in college and you are about to graduate, or even if you haven't started, if you're not close to graduating, if you're just in college now and you're going to graduate in a year or two, like, this is a good resource to go through. That being said, even if you're not in college, like, again, I'm 30 years old, I still found Daniel's strategies to be very effective overall. Like, the way he talks about certain ideas like informational interviews is still a very good, I found insights. That's what I'm trying to say. Right? So even though it doesn't necessarily apply to me, I think it's worth your time to go through and check out this book if you're looking for work right now. Alright, so let me start by giving you some background about Daniel, as well as why he started this book and the things that he found. So Daniel, what was interesting about him was that he learned right away in college the importance of networking, the importance of building relationships and getting these internships and learning more about what he wants to do. And what he found in his career, once he graduated college and he took on new roles after college, he found that he was the exception to the rule, right? When he was like exploring internships and figuring out what he wants to do, and ended up having a job when he got a job right after college, already prepared for him. He found that when he was recruiting for his company, for PepsiCo at the time, he found that most college students didn't have clarity in their job search, and so they would go and they would apply for jobs and they interview and they're like, I don't know, and so they wouldn't get job offers. The reason this is important, the reason that this is a challenge, is that what Daniel found is a common scenario. He found that statistics that showed that more than half of college students graduate college without a job lined up. In fact, he found it's like 70% total. More importantly, I think, than having a job lined up is this other statistic. This is what I fell into, is that 40% of graduates end up in a job that don't require a 4-year degree. This is what happened to me, right? So it took me 9 months to get my first job, and that first job was paying $15 an hour, or $30,000 a year. And that job, even though I had a 4-year degree, like none of my colleagues had 4-year degrees. They had associate's degrees, and some of them didn't even have degrees at all. They just had the high school diploma. The reason that this first job is important is that what Daniel has found is something called income equality. And what he found is that a student who starts out at $30,000 a year versus a student who starts out at $60,000 a year. If you assume that each student every year they get a 5% annual increase, let's say they get a raise, they get a promotion, they get whatever, he found that the results were dramatic. So for example, after 5 years, the person who starts out at $30,000 a year, after 5 years will end up at $40,000 a year, which is actually very similar to what happened to me. I started at $30,000 at $15 an hour. In year 2, I got another job for $15 an hour. Year 3, I got a job for $17 an hour. Year 4, I got a job for $19 an hour, which is about $40,000. And then year 5, I got a job for $23 an hour, which is about $47, right? You can see, like, I am making increases. Like, you look at my stats, I was getting 20% increases, which instead of 5, but I'm still only getting, like, I'm still making less than what my peers were making, right? And what Daniel found was that a college student who graduates with a job lined up, a typical college graduate should be starting at $60,000. With a 4-year degree, a decent job, an appropriate job, $60K. And he found that in year 1, they started $60K. Year 5, they're going to end up at $75K. And so you can see in the income equality chart that he has in his book that the person who starts at $30,000 with a 5% increase is going to end up at $40,000, whereas the student who is at $60,000 ends up at $75,000. In fact, if you start at $30,000 and you just kept getting 5% increases every year, it would take you 20 years to hit $80,000. Whereas it took someone at 60,000 5 years to hit 75. Now, I got very lucky. In my experience, what happened with me was that I was able to change my destiny because I was able to pivot my career along the way. But that's a story for another time. But the thing I want to point here is like the importance of your foundation, your very first job, and the things that lead up to that first job. Because the first job will help you get the second job. The second job helps you get the third job. The third job helps you get the fourth job, and so on and so forth. So what I think makes Daniel's book and his entire process different from what I've seen from other coaches is that the way he frames the job search process. He refers to the job search as like taking an open book test, right? The answers are out there for you to find. You just need to know where they look. And he talks about in his book the strategies that you can use, especially as a college student, take advantage of in order to get the information you need in order to find the jobs, not only the right job for you, but the job that's going to get you the things that you want, the right benefits, the right compensation, the right employer, as well as making sure you have options. Like one of the things that he talks about that's specific for college students is to take advantage of the student card, right? So when you're a college student, you get advantage to things like career services departments, you get advantages to having an alumni network, you can talk to professors who are typically involved with their actual field. Usually they do other things besides being a lecturer, besides being a professor. There's other things you can do. It's a lot easier to actually get meetings with professionals because you now have like a student card. Like people want to be more helpful to a college student because they know what it was like. So this is what I thought this was really helpful about this book, was that it's very specific to to college students specifically, so how you can take advantage of this. The final thing I want to point out, what I really like about this book, is that unlike other books that I've seen, is that he also includes workbooks and additional resources that you can use for free. Like, they come with the book. So, for example, he's got an assessment you can take. If you go to the book and you buy the book, he gives you like a link that you can take to get additional workbooks as well as resources to help you with preparing for your job search. So that way, by the time you graduate college, you have everything you need to have. If you don't have a job, you should be able to get a job with your network, but you'll also have the information you need to get a job quickly, because you'll have the training you need. This also includes sections like how to master resume, how to master the interview. Again, because the goal is to get a job before you graduate. Like, that's the ideal situation. So that's why I highly recommend it. He's also talked about a whole section for LinkedIn. So if you've been like, I don't know how to use LinkedIn, I don't know how to build relationships, how to get connections, he has examples of how to use LinkedIn to master that, how to take advantage of your profile, and how to build connections. He has a case study from one of his students called Luis Guzman, who's like, he showed how this guy actually took what Daniel said and took it in action and used it to get a high-end job. So if that's something you're looking into, if you're a college student, you're like, I don't know what to do to prepare for my job search, I highly recommend you check out this book. Strongly recommend it. Daniel has been coaching for years, so I highly recommend. Also check out his podcast, check out his LinkedIn. I'll make sure to tag him on LinkedIn as well, so you can get access to him as well. But definitely check out this book. Very excited to recommend this. It's a very good resource. I think most of you are going to find this to be extremely insightful. So I hope you get this book. I hope you get to check it out. Let me know if you have any questions, what comments you have, what thoughts you need. Let me know if you have challenges with LinkedIn. I'd love to help you with LinkedIn. I've been doing that myself with my business, to grow my content, to grow my business, to use social media posts. So I can be happy to give you some ideas of how you can use that for your job search. I've actually gotten, believe it or not, even though like I am a solopreneur, I've gotten approached by multiple coaches and business owners for copywriting, which is crazy. It's like, I had one person reach out to me saying like they're looking for a resume writer, which, I'm not interested in doing that for someone else. I do that for my own business. But it was cool to me that I got approached for that. I also got approached from another woman to do career coaching for their school. It was kind of like a nonprofit for Latin American students, so I was really surprised about that. And I also got approached to be a content writer for a local magazine in Charlotte, North Carolina. So if you look up local labor, I think that's Local Labor Guide is the name of the website. I wrote an article for their print magazine recently. So, LinkedIn is really powerful. Definitely recommend getting on that if you haven't been on it, because there's opportunities there that can be done from LinkedIn. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thank you.